Hello and welcome to part 3 of the All 12 Signs video series for the summer solstice and a big transit that's happening that is Jupiter Sextile Saturn. I've done a collective reading on this as well as 2 introductions in the other 3 parts. So I recommend you check that out where I break down the sort of energetic principles of the solstice and what that means for us over the next 3 to 6 months, as well as this Jupiter Saturn sextile. In this part 3, I will be reading for Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, and Leo. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel energies through my body. As you can see, my hands are moving around right now. This is independent of my conscious thought, drawing in energies from different dimensions that help us clear stuck energy, help us heal, and open portals so we can connect to our soul. Thank you for being here, new and returning viewers alike. Your time and your energy I'm honoured to be a part of that. I know how precious those two things are. In these collective readings, the way that I work with tarot and the astrology is based on your inner work. So you're the most consistent thing. We're all the most consistent. We are all our individual selves, the most consistent things in our lives. And therefore, for collective readings, I feel like it's more important to connect to the energies that are going to help us understand our inner journey, our inner processes, help us peel back the onion layers of trauma responses, limiting beliefs, to really get to the root of who we are, those core principles of integrity that help us walk in this world. The more that we do that, the more we shift our vibrational frequency. And this not only draws opportunities and experiences such as love, work, and all of those other things towards us, but also helps us feel more calm and more peace when things aren't necessarily showing up in the way that we'd like to, helping us work with the vast tapestry of energy that's around. But essentially, the universe tends to have things in mind for us that are more fantastical and wonderful than we could even imagine. And when we limit ourselves with ideas and concepts that are more detail orientated and this is what I want, we're blocking possibilities coming through. So when we work with our inner principles, these core foundations, and we don't focus on the details, that's when the quantum field of the universe opens up for us. So that's why I like focusing on the inner work. If you have more personal questions linked into romance or work or anything else like that, do check out my email address in the description box for a personal reading, and I will get back to you about the kind of services that I offer. I work with the tropical zodiac. This is based off of the solstices and equinoxes. These mark turning points in nature, and we are nature, so big turning points for us all. Very appropriate to talk about that with the summer solstice. And I work with the Hellenistic principles. This is from the Greco-Roman period in terms of the astrology over 2,000 years ago. And what does that mean in general? So the sort of key tenets of that in these collective readings is I work with the whole house system. So this is where each house falls in the whole of a sign. And speaking of signs, I really recommend checking out your rising sign first. This is if you know your time of birth, and this is where your ascendant falls, and this is always in the first house. And so the astrology will link into the sign that it is that rising sign. This doesn't invalidate you looking at other signs. Just look to where those signs fall in your chart, the house that they're in, the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Check out your sun, your moon, all of the signs. We have all of the signs in our chart, and that adds on a sort of more holistic understanding of how these transits are affecting every area of your chart, as well as that specific area for those of you with those rising signs. I also don't work with the modern rulership of Pluto with Scorpio, Uranus with Aquarius, and Pisces, Neptune with Pisces. And this is for various timing techniques that would be more related to personal charts. I also don't feel like those bigger outer planets want to be bound by a particular sign. I totally understand why they are linked with them. There's a lot of common denominators with the planets and the signs that they've been assigned to in the modern rulership. It's just not part of my personal practice. I also do not apply the themes of Aries to every first house, or so, for example, the themes of Pisces to the 12th house. I just feel like it blocks off nuances. Again, I can understand and can see some of the correlations, but they don't always feel that they work for me. So that's what I incorporate. I also work on my own intuition. So working with the planets, working with the cards, and seeing how we're all constantly in a state of evolution. Yes, there are themes and generalizations and archetypes that are still consistent and really do still show up. But we are evolving. The cosmos is evolving, and therefore the tools that we have are constantly in this state of evolution. Every day is a school day, guys. Question everything. Question me, question the world around you, and most importantly, question yourself. Right, so you see here, I've got a couple of cards. So I always, with the collective readings, I'll always get some decks out that I don't use for the main collective readings, and I'll pull a couple of cards to see what wants to come out. And so there's 2 rows here. You can't see the second row, but I wanted you to get a nice close-up of the first row. And I'm going to go through these cards of how this links into the summer solstice and the Jupiter Saturn sextile, which happened, made its exact aspect on the 19th of June, and the solstice eve was on the 20th, and the solstice day was on the 21st. So we've got this big combination of this shift of energy, a very creative energy, very abundant energy coming in. And this is really shown up, you know, quite funny that, so this is the Carl Gray Gateway of Light Activation Oracle. Really love the imagery on this, and just some very potent messages always come through with this deck. So thank you, Kyle, for putting this effort in and doing and helping us find divination tools. And so made me chuckle that the central sun came up when, you know, I'm channeling the solstice energy. You know, the solstice is a celebration of the sun. It's the longest day. All right. So, but with that idea of the longest day, it's implying that the days are going to get shorter. One of the things that you can do on the solstice eve is have 2 separate bonfires, one to honor the sun and one to honor the dark, the fact that we can't have one without the other. I'm just going to pull down. If you notice, this is the second row, sort of really highlighting this. Actually, maybe I'll just leave it like that for now. It's really highlighting the fact that, yes, we're celebrating the peak of the sun, the dynamic doing energy, the vitality, the animation that, you know, we are light bodies. Life wouldn't exist without it. But also acknowledging the fact that, you know, the duality of night and day and the shades of grey, that with this acknowledgement and honouring of the sun, we still bear reverence to the fact that we are now slowly, day by day, the days are getting shorter, and therefore the nights are getting longer. So we've got this combination of these 2 elements coming in, and it really showed up quite loudly with the cards of them wanting to be in these separate rows and of these separate energies, just by the color palette was quite fantastical. Right, so let's go back to the central sun. So beautiful imagery, as I said. Let's try. Quite big cards, trying to get this at the right angle. Abundance, downloads, regeneration, success. So around the solstice, you may have felt very enlivened. You might have been doing lots of things. You might have felt that you're just feeling fully embodied in your light space, and that you're getting supported energetically at this time. So this was the first card that wanted to come up, and I'm going to read from the books because I feel like there's a lot of stuff in here that's really useful to think about. Even though this energy isn't at its peak, we're still in it, and it's something we can still remember that we've experienced and draw within us when we head towards the darker time, the time of renewal, the time of going inward. So both things are incredibly important. We need that action and we need that rest. With one without the other, then we're everything in moderation, including moderation, which is one of my favorite phrases. So your message, the great central sun is shining brightly in your life and upon your world. This is a time to regenerate. Tiredness and old energy are being washed away. Old skins have been peeled off to reveal a sacred, more aligned you. So you might have felt more in flow. You might have had some clues and tips of understanding of the journey that you've been on, and how through that journey you've just shifted some energy within you that is helping you be in a state of alignment. This is an exciting time. Central sun energy is magnetic and all-powerful, opening you up to light and supporting you as you express your own light in this lifetime. New ideas, opportunities, and experiences come easily to you at this time. I certainly noticed from my own experience of the summer solstice is that it's showing you where how you've grown, but it's also sort of hinting of the opportunities of the next part of the cycle. So it's almost like you're getting a teaser, a taster of the next cycle, having acknowledged the work that you've done. You've shone a light on your progress, and that light is sort of revealing things in the darkness that are to come, that unknown space of the future. Where was I? Right. Like the sun kissing the perfectly ripe soil, the seeds you have planted are being encouraged to grow. So for me, the winter solstice is when we plant those new seeds, and the summer solstice is that full moon. But unlike vegetables, they have their cycle. They keep going, and then their time has come. The seeds that we plant, we are constantly evolving that growth. So even though, I'm looking at the summer solstice as that full moon, we're still continuing on that cycle. We're still like, okay, what have we learnt, and how are we going to implement it, ingrain it, embody it? The light is now coming down to earth. How are we, in our actions, going to cultivate everything that we've already learnt? Realize that in order to go beyond your horizon, it is important for you to welcome energetic exchanges. When you help others, you let yourself be helped in return. When you invest energy in projects, you let energy to be invested in yourself. I like this last sentence for that card because it's saying, there's a sense of reciprocity, and that's what we have with the night and the day. There's this, you're giving to something, and then something comes towards you. Don't forget, it's not about prioritizing one thing over another. So prioritizing projects, which we've probably been doing since the winter solstice, and now it's like, okay, now how are we drawing that back into myself? How are we making sure that we are nourished in order for whatever it is that we've been cultivating to continue growing and exploring and expanding in a beautiful, harmonious way. Never neglect taking self-care moments, and not letting yourself be burnt out. So the next card we have is the Orion Activation, Supernova, Recreation, Renewal, Rebirth by Light. So the lovely portal that we've walked through. They like that they like that. Okay, let's get the page up before I hold it up. Okay, so it's interesting that the Orion card came out because we're heading into the Lion's Gate portal and that is linked into Sirius, and it has it's this and if you think about that, Leo is ruled by the sun, so it's kind of suggesting that we've had this revitalization, we'll be heading towards this portal, because this summer solstice energy, this blueprint, is for the next 3 to 6 months. I think it's both, it's just that we'll be adding on the autumn equinox energy on top of that as well. The message: all your fears and setbacks are being stripped away from your energy now. It is essential for your old way of being to fall away and for you to go through a process of renewal in order to move forward. The old stories of your life aren't yours to live out or live up to. You are far greater than these limiting experiences. So that's making me think of, yes, we've had this culmination with this winter solstice, but now is the time of saying, okay, what are the things that we've put into practice? What's working, what's not, and how do we sort of realize we've learned from our mistakes, we understand, but it's a process of letting go of that energy. Yes, it's served us so far. So my hand is now just sort of tapping over the heart chakra. It's not about shaming those mistakes. It's about realizing the beauty and wonder of them that are helping us get into a different space. The beings of Orion are surrounding you now. Just had an energetic release at that. They see you as one of them, someone who has been born with the knowledge that they can live with greater purpose and make a real difference to the world, whether on a global scale or in a particular corner of the planet. When you draw this card, you're being reminded that you have infinite star potential. So again, all that bright light of the sun, and the fact that in the northern hemisphere, which is obviously the sort of the main reading for this. I do apologize for those of you in the southern hemisphere. I'm going to start working on the solstices and equinoxes of bringing those two into balance. It's an interesting thing to work with. That what was I saying? That we've got all this sunlight. We've had all this burst, and now we're moving through this portal. We're moving through an understanding of that. You know, the sun is a star, right? It is the center of our solar system. It guides the whole solar system. It guides us in its movements, and we are a part of it. We are 3-generation stardust, right? We come from, I was going to say the Big Bang, but the scientists are like, they don't know anything. It's not that they don't know anything, it's they can't concretely say what has happened. But let's just use that as an example. We come from that Big Bang. Everything in the universe we have within us, as above, so below. That sometimes we can forget that we have the capacity to walk with that integrity that we know is within us, and that's part of the human experience, to have choices and to make decisions and to see what sits and feels comfortable in your physical body. And that's, for me, is bringing in Jupiter in Taurus. Okay, so we're going to be finding over the next year, we're going to be able to tell from our physical senses whether we feel right about something in a lot stronger position. So the final card from the Carl Gray deck for the top row is the Higher Heart activation. Dropping shields, divine love, your heart is healed. I was just wanting to go over my heart chakra, along with the Chamber of the Violet Flame, karmic releases, radical transformation. So through this heart process, Leo rules the heart, and the sun is linked into Leo. So wherever the sun is affecting that Leo area of your chart, and guiding, helping with that heart activation. Also bringing in the fact that we've got a Venus retrograde in Leo. We're having a reevaluation over the summer period, which is covering these couple of months, right? That we will be reevaluating and questioning what it is, how it is that we love, whether that's ourselves, the things around us, people, our work, however that shows up for you. We are going to be reevaluating that over the next couple of months with that retrograde. I love the word dropping shields. So it's essentially allowing you to bear witness to the walls that you've put up. My hand has now gone back over my heart chakra, and questioning them and seeing where those bricks have come from and how over time they've got higher and higher and higher, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable in that experience. And I feel that by doing that, we're allowing the divine love to help us feel held. My hands are now back over the heart chakra. Help us feel held in what can be a difficult journey, but we've just had this boost from the summer solstice. We're enlivened. We're vital in our energy. That through the next couple of months, we're really going to be starting a whole 8-year cycle. That's the Venus retrograde in Leo. Check out that series, as well as the Jupiter series and the Saturn series, because all of these are very linked in over the next couple of months. They're really key transits for us all collectively in the long term. Jupiter and Saturn are long-term planets. This Venus retrograde is starting a new 8-year cycle. So it's a big change happening this year. Okay, so my hands are sort of going like that over the heart chakra, maybe breaking down those walls, breaking down those shields that we have, helping shake up that energy, shift that energy, change that energy. We're in Cancer season, right? Cancer, the sun and Mercury in Cancer right now, and this is cardinal energy in the sign of the moon, how we emotionally connect things. And this is cardinal instigates things. It's a leadership quality of instigation. You're starting something off. So we're starting a new dynamic of how we emotionally connect to things. Oh, that was a lot. Okay, so let's read this card. You have experienced much fear, separation, and heartache in your lifetime. This has encouraged you to close off and shield yourself from possible hurt. For a long time, you've been trying to open yourself back up, but have been concerned about being far too vulnerable. This card shows you have realized that love isn't something you have to work for or search for, but your divine inheritance. You have also recognized that this energy isn't something that comes through relationships or external experiences, but is your natural state of being. The more you close off, the more you close off from your true self, the more you drop your shields, the more love is revealed. The more you express the love you are, the more it is reflected back to you. Love is your truth. For the regulars of the channel, you know I bang on about love a lot. It's a very difficult emotion to navigate, and it takes a while to sort of understand what is unconditional love, what is the root of love. It comes up in so many different forms that can overwhelm us. And it is a deep state of vulnerability, but there is also a state of love that I feel is just a consistent, calm, held peace energy. And I feel that that's what this divine love is, that is asking us, is just saying, I'm here, I'm holding you. Whatever it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you're unpacking, I'm always here. I'm always at this space with you, allowing you to go through your human experience. Love, the heart has an electromagnetic field of 3 feet. The mind 3 inches. What I love about this, so we had the Gemini new moon just before the solstice, just before this Saturn Jupiter sextile. And I'm going to recommend that every time I do a video, because the collective reading talked about a lot of things in terms of how we engage with information. And then obviously Cancer follows Gemini, of how we then emotionally connect to it. But when we figure out how we're engaging with it on a sort of a neutral plane. And this happened just before the solstice, and it was just before Venus went into shadow phase. So it's really connecting the mind and the heart together. This whole summer feels like that's very much a thing, of where we're understanding and integrating, and giving a support mechanism between the heart and the mind that isn't counterproductive to the exploration of this human experience, right? This enjoyment of the moment, this being present, this being open to possibilities, without limiting ourselves through the mental constructs of using the past to fixate on the future and not being present, and our hearts getting swept away, either hidden away from past experiences, or through a buildup of resentment of not being able to express itself, or not feeling like you're getting back what you want, what you've put out. They're really trying to shake off these very understandable human interactions, but actually that really limit every experience that you're in. That we are meaning making machines, and there is, as I say, getting to the root of your integrity, getting to the root and foundations of who you are, what is truly important to you in the long term, that you can use in every single moment, that isn't limiting the future. So this is from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. Love this deck, and this is by Kim Krantz. All the decks I put in the description box, so do go check it out if you're interested. And this was the final card for the top row, and this is the Pilgrim. I'm going to read from her book, because her book is phenomenal. The Wanderer, the Traveller, the Apprentice. For the Pilgrim, an outward journey is always an inward journey. I'm just going to stop there, because that is a perfect representation of the solstices, right? The sun is like this. When we've got more light, we're more active. In astrology, the day yang signs, which are fire and air, they're more direct action. There's a fast movement to it. And the yin night signs and the over winter, this is when we go inward. This is when we have the time to slow down, to question, to observe, to be in a state of mindfulness, because we're not necessarily busy doing. I mean, that's a little different now in the modern environment, but I've found from my own practice that the more I tap into those seasonal cycles, the more at peace I have felt in my journey. Right, so this is kind of highlighting. So we are an outward being. We are outward beings. We do, we be, we go, we take action. But with the pilgrim's energy, it's like everything that we do on the outside is always an inner journey. So it's always a contemplation of self. And that's not sort of in a navel gazing way. That's sort of an understanding of how you want to move through the world, and on what basis are you doing so. This archetypal wanderer seeks wisdom, experience, and meaning in the farthest reaches of the globe and the deepest regions of the spirit. Others will wonder when the pilgrim will settle down and claim a more conventional life, but the pilgrim knows that the heart belongs in motion. When there is motion, there is freedom, expansion, and growth. Just pausing. Without motion, I talk about this a lot with the square energy, which is friction. Without motion, this universe would not exist. This reality, this current reality that we're conscious of, wouldn't exist without that sense of movement, without that friction, without the vibrations that cause things to create. This is a fundamental part of our universe, and therefore a fundamental part of us. And this is why I always say that every day is a school day, which is very much the pilgrim, like seeking out experiences. What are you learning from something rather than what are you rejecting, is definitely a way of engaging with this pilgrim energy. The pilgrim where there is motion, there is freedom, expansion, and growth. Responsibilities, social conventions, and logistics lull us to sleep, and soon the pilgrim becomes veiled in the slumber of the day-to-day. Yet when this archetype awakens, it rallies our senses of adventure and leads us out the door towards a new reality. Okay, they got excited at the new reality part. With the pilgrim at your side, you will never lack courage, nor do you need every amenity. Travel light, travel soon, your spirit needs it. Now, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the message here, which was saying that the day-to-day can induce slumber in the pilgrim. I would say that is part of another way of engaging with the pilgrim energy, of that seeking, that wonder, that exploration. You can do that in all the day-to-day things that you can do. You can find a deeper meaning. You can find, my hand has just gone over my heart. You can find the wisdom, the curiosity in the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's what kinds of blocks us from fully being able to embody this 3D experience. And we're sort of more clawing at the adrenaline, the dopamine, and all of that we don't appreciate the little things that we do on an everyday basis. We can't find that sense of, oh, what's new here in this situation? What can I be curious about in something that is so familiar? Right. What else is it? Even in the stillness of meditation, the pilgrim feels the movement of the heart towards what it loves. That's just so beautiful. And it's tying up all of this. Where's the sun gone? It's tying up all of this of movement, action, stillness, and the heart. And, I reference the Gemini New Moon collective reading because I talk a lot about paradoxes. And I find we're currently in an environment where we can't accept these paradoxes comfortably. There's a sense of there's a lot of duality out in the world, and yes, there is duality, but also accepting that there isn't at the same time is part of that paradox. It's like it's not either or, it's this and that. And the more that we sort of lean into that, I talk about how time is both linear all at once and cyclical, as well as many other versions of time that we couldn't even possibly wrap our heads around right now. And even if we're not in observation of it clearly, consciously, it doesn't invalidate that experience. It doesn't invalidate that reality. We are both nowhere and now here, which was a phrase in one of my favorite authors. I used to read a lot of sci-fi and a lot of fantasy as a kid, unsurprisingly. Diana Winnie Jones and Fire and Hemlock. There's that phrase comes up, acknowledging that we are both nowhere and now here, and that was instilled in me in a very early age. And it's once you finally sort of hit that without needing confirmation, without needing full proof. I've been listening to a lot of AI creators especially Open Mind, I can't remember what it is, with the chat GTP Oh goodness me, I'm terrible with acnorism. And there's a lot, and they're all very willing to be wrong. They're all very willing to question and to be open to possibilities and not wanting to limit themselves, which, yeah, there's obviously lots of nuances in that, but it was just very refreshing to see that kind of energy be engaged in, where we are comfortable having an opinion, but also comfortable not having an opinion at the same time. Like you're not binding yourself. You're not binding yourself. You're allowing yourself to be the pilgrim and to be in a state of curiosity and a state of movement from a heart space. Love this. Right. Okay. So the final row we've got. So this is kind of like encompassing this journey that we're having of the sun at its peak, slowly. Actually, interesting. You look at the cut, we're slowly bringing in more, we're moving away from the brightness, and there's an incorporation here of all of those colors as well as the dark, and then we've got more nighttime shades coming in, which I just find very beautiful, as well as significant. So, Chamber of the Violet Flame, karmic release, radical transformation. When you receive this card, know that the violet flame of transformation has been brought to you by your angels and guides. They are encouraging you to see that you're in a space of radical transformation. Transformation can be overwhelming, but know the hand of the divine is leading the way. So they're just doing the thing again over my heart. All past trauma is now being cleared from your energy. Stay focused on releasing all of the energies that no longer serving you. I mean, I'm thinking about that in terms of the fact that with the solstice, with this transformational energy, this real intensity of the sun, this bright, vital, divine light that we've been getting. And then we move into Cancer season, which is connecting to things on an emotional level with the sun and Mercury. So this clarity of looking at our emotions, and Mercury being there of like, how are we communicating it, how are we connecting the dots, that is helping us release these energies, release these, a lot of our trauma responses are linked into how we feel about something. And sometimes we find it difficult to understand and navigate. What are those feelings? Where do they come from? How are they sitting in your body? It's certainly been a practice of mine of when I'm feeling emotional, upset, anxious, all of these things, rather than knowing that Jupiter is in Taurus, with Saturn in Pisces, of the collective unconscious body, right? So we're getting some structure in how we engage with the collective unconscious emotional space. With Jupiter, wisdom bringer, in Taurus, of our physical senses. So finding the wisdom in your physical body to help you navigate and understand your personal experience in relation to the collective, and how are those interlinked, and how do we unravel those things, because this is where the karma release comes in, right? So much of what we experience can often be linked into ancestor work, lineage work, past life work, that can often feel very confusing to experience, that feels almost like, well, this doesn't belong to me. How this doesn't actually, I'm feeling it, I understand, and I get the trigger, but it also, you can understand it, but then be like, this doesn't feel like this is mine. This isn't a part of the core of who I am. They're just putting the book down because they want to clap. We've had Mars and Venus move through Cancer, of being an observation of our motivations and our desires when it links to our emotional space, and now having experienced those things which might have caused emotional frustration or joy, however you want to engage with what's been coming up, that now with the clarity of the sun and Mercury walking together with Juno, what we're committing to in the long term in terms of our emotional responses, that it's a time of clearing away the lingering karmic contracts. And I feel like we've got stages of karmic contracts. Oh god, they're shaking quite a lot at that one. That since that hybrid eclipse in Aries, that really felt like a soul integration. And around that time, like the cards that kept coming up for every single collective reading, every single sign reading as well, was like, we're clearing some karma here. We're clearing a lot of karmic contracts. But it doesn't mean that there aren't others that we've still got to fulfill, that are still helping us emerge and develop in a very slow practice. I've found with my journey of all of this, of there's part of me that's not wanting to predict things. I'm really starting to engage and learn and enjoy the unraveling of the tapestry, not unraveling, the unveiling of the tapestry. That, as I said, you're not trying to control things and you want it all now. That impatience that the human race has so much, that impatience that can really sort of sit and enjoy, as I said, the reveal, and the slow reveal of this beautiful tapestry that we're in. Doesn't mean that you're not taking action, but there's this element of letting go of control. It's quite ironic. I read charts and I use tarot, but it's definitely more in alignment of what are the tools that you have. So, for example, when I do personal reading, I'm more focused on what are the tools that you have in order to go about your day and go about your life that's at the root of who you are. What are the things that may be blocking that you can then shift that energy and then bring these all into sort of a cohesive union, that it's then up to how you play the game, how you engage with it, that what opportunities are going to come up, and how that's coming from a very authentic space rather than a trigger response. Right, when you receive this card, know that the violet flame of transformation has been brought to you by your angels and guides. They are encouraging you to see that you're in a space of radical transformation. Transformation can be overwhelming, but know the hand of the divine is leading the way. All past trauma is now being cleared from your energy. Stay focused on releasing all of the energy you are no longer serving you. The violet flame is here to transmute fear into love. If any fear is rising up inside of you now, know that it is simply a call for love. Call in the strongest form of love you know and allow those in your inner circle to support you through this transformational time. You are an alchemist with the capacity to take the leaden aspects of your life and turn them into golden opportunities. You can align your life with the divine plan now and live in a more purposeful way. Just what's come into my mind is it's talking about lead and gold. So in terms of like alchemy, I don't know if you've had the stories of like in medieval Europe, they would, alchemists would try and turn lead into physical gold. But the alchemy is linked into the planets. It's linked into the planet. So lead is linked into Saturn, the final visible planet, and the sun is gold. And it's about this transition back into the center of through each stage of each of the planets, of understanding them, of cultivating them, of figuring out what they mean to you on a very integral personal level. That's when you get to the gold of your inner light, rather than the weight of the lead holding you down. Saturn's very good at bringing in things that hold you down in order for you to know what choices you want to make to lighten the load. It's doing that intentionally in order to help us really know our own integrity. Okay. The shadow. Now, I love the shadow and the ego and the darkness. Shaming it, regulars will know that for me, shame is the thing that its energy is small, but also incredibly large. It's a very short-minded headspace, and we shame the shadow. We reject it. We want to burn it up, cut it up, send it away. It is deemed an antithesis of the ideal human being and how we walk our talk, except it's one of the most fundamental tools to help us grow and evolve. And I would really... It's a difficult energy. There's no getting around it. It's a difficult energy, especially when you engage with it of like, oh no, not this again. Oh, I'm back here. I thought I'd made this progress and yet here I am again. And every time those opportunities come up is for you to make a decision, for you to be like, okay, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to give my shadow a big cuddle, and I'm going to ask it, what are you trying to tell me? Whenever I think of the shadow and people rejecting it, I'm always drawn back to, it's a consistent thing in dream therapy, regardless of whether it's Jungian or anything else, that when you have nightmares, and so you're being chased by something, the key tenet is to try and get the client or yourself to, over, if it's a reoccurring nightmare, to then be able to turn and face whatever it is you're running away from. And usually that's when that monster or that thing, whatever, will transform either into a childhood memory or an idea of saying, no, this is, you need to look at this. You need to look at, you've been running away from this. And the more that we run away from things, the more that we want to try and shut them in a pit or shut the door or lock them up, the louder they get. This is the same thing with anything that we repress within us. As I talk about so often, it was why I focus on the inner work, because the collective trauma is so loud, and that is from shame and rejection, right? It's so loud. And the more that we stop shaming the parts of ourselves that we find uncomfortable or we find difficult, the more we stop hiding from these, the fact that we are truly multifaceted beings. We have the capacity of being more than one thing, and that doesn't invalidate the totality. The more we're at peace with ourselves, the less we're fighting with ourselves of something, of a version of ourselves in the midst of all the other versions, trying to win at all costs, and get rid of the diversity that you have within you. Is just, I mean, it's just what we're doing right now to nature. It's what we're trying to energetically do. And so I will try not to get political, but I'm sure you can understand what I'm trying to point out here, that we are nature. Nature is diverse, as above, so below. Therefore, within you, aside from the fact of all the viruses and bacteria that are in you that are essentially governing a lot of your actions, where is free will, guys? If somebody knows where free will is, please post in the comment box. That energetically, emotionally, spiritually, you are diverse. And that is the beauty of it. We are also a singularity, the all within the one, because we are the creation energy manifest in individual form. That paradox of being absolutely everything and yet one singular thing is just a beautiful thing. Do not shame your shadow. And I like to think this transition that we've got here is acknowledging that, is helping us really be more at peace with that. I find, my mind has self-annihilated me from a very, very early age. I talked about this before on the channel. I've got Saturn square the moon in my natal chart, and traditionally this is an aspect of depression. I'm also a Virgo, so self-criticism comes in, and Mercury squares my Saturn, so this is sort of in Scorpio, where it's deep self-annihilation through transformation, and those thoughts are still there. They're still there, but I'm at peace with them. I personally don't think your shadow ever goes away. I don't think it's about you only embodying this sense of serenity that is denying this. I think the serenity you get by acknowledging that this is always going to be there, no matter what you're doing, no matter how much you're evolving, there is always going to be a semblance of it. And that is part of the beauty. And that helps us release this sense of expectations, like of this, we've got to be perfect. We've got to be the pure light bodies. There is a part of us that is, but there's a part of us that signed up for this human experience, and that's currently the dynamic that we're in. Make peace with your shadow, releasing karma, transform this sense of expectation around perfection, and move with grace with your shadow. It's been healing you and protecting you since you were born. It maybe those things are outdated in the way that it's trying to do that, but the more you sit and have a chat with it and go, hey, this is where I'm at now, let's have a chat, let's see if we can work with this. And the shadow's always pushing you. The shadow is always getting you to go, hey, no, what do you really mean? What's really important to you? Can you let this go? Can you move on? Are you going to hold on to this? Are you going to hold on to this and block your heart? Is that what you're going to do? Is that what you're going to do? Is that what you're going to do? I don't think so. Okay, right, final card. Oh my goodness, 44 minutes. Oh, I can't help myself. I'm on a roll today. Right, final card. Where are you, buddy? Final card. Toss light codes. Light initiation, great teacher awakening, divine magic. So through this light initiation, through this acknowledgement of the heart space, sending your heart love, that divine love, to your shadow, being in a state of curiosity, understanding that we are constantly in a transformation of karmic release. We're always in that cycle. There's always more things coming and more things going on, that we are awakened to our own divine magic with this combination through that light initiation. We then bring that inwards. Look at how, I mean, look at the stunningness of all this card, of all the starlight in the darkness. You know, we wouldn't be able to see the stars. We would not see the beauty of the stars. They're just sort of moving that like that over my throat chakra without the dark. Without the dark. You are blessed to connect with Thoth. You are going through a powerful set of light initiations at this time, and these are preparing you to lead and teach from a powerful space of love. In order to complete the process, there will be a release of old ideas and limiting stories. But this is necessary for you to connect with the true power within you. For you to connect with the true power... Oh, I read that twice. Don't be concerned with the intensity of the energies that surround you. Right now, facing shadow parts of yourself and your story is essential. This is hilarious. I read these a couple of days ago, and my brain forgets things very easily, so that's quite funny that this is all coming up. Facing shadow parts of yourself and your story is essential for connecting with divine magic, and evolved beings of light are there to lead the way. If you have any concerns or fears at this time, know that when the fear gets loud, it's because you're on a cusp of something extremely powerful. You know, I don't ever want to be a reader that's like, oh, everything's going to be great. This next transit's going to completely transform your life, and we're all going to be higher dimensional beings in the collective, and everything's going to be fine. That's not really how it works. So I'm just not a fan of that. Like, there's this. I've talked about how I don't like the 12-step program for me personally. I totally get why it works for someone, but for people it's a very important institution. But I don't like how when you fall off the wagon, you go back to zero. I don't like that invalidation of the journey, and the fact that we're always going to be coming up against things that we're going to have to make choices again. We're going to have to make choices. We're going to have to make decisions. Which road are we going to go down? And sometimes the context around that environment means that we go down a path that isn't for our highest good in the long term. But it doesn't mean we can't then make the decision to get back off that without invalidating everything that you've already begun to integrate. I always find that slow integration is the best way for us to really embody the lessons that we learn, the knowledge and wisdom that we have. Without that slow, bit by bit integration, we rush too fast, and we miss things that might have actually been really fundamental to the long-term plan. And so this is sort of acknowledging, yes, we have all this light. Yes, we have this light activation, this heart space, this being curious. But this doesn't mean that this doesn't go away. And this is part of the journey and part of the duality, the shades of grey, the paradoxes that is the universe. And for us to, that's really important for us to embrace and not prioritize one over the other. They have both have their truly phenomenal imprints on how we engage in our own personal journey. All I want is for us to step away from shame. Shame can be an interesting experience. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to invalidate that particular part of the human journey. And you know, but it is, for me personally, something that blocks off so many avenues and then gets loud and loud and loud and loud and loud and explodes in a way like I just think about how sometimes the human species needs something really loud and big in order to wake up to something. Like those energies can help shake people up who might not have opened their eyes as much, or have observed their own internal space. That, yeah, sometimes we need something to crash in and explode in order to get to that point. I'm doing my own out loud musing because I don't like to reject anything or shame anything, including shame. I totally get it as a human experience. We've all been it. We've all done it. I get it. Yeah, I'm leaving that on a bit of a... We'll come back to shame. I think we'll come back to shame and talk about that in another way. If you've got any comments or ideas about what shame means to you, yeah, do let me know. I would love to hear from you. Right, I am going to stop talking at 50 minutes and 5 seconds. And I'm going to be reading for Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, and Leo. So first up will be Scorpio. Scorpio rising. How you doing, Scorpio? For those of you just checking in with the Scorpio energy, look to where Scorpio falls in your chart, the house that it's in, the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's as if that Scorpio energy is now moved to the first house when I talk about Scorpio rising. But before I do that, in general, so I'm reading cards for the imprint of the summer solstice and the Jupiter Saturn sextile that happened on the 19th of June, that we're going to be feeling for some time. So I'll be pulling for 2 different piles, but sometimes it turns out to be 3 piles. And in general, the solstice energy for Scorpio is in a fellow water sign. And this means that that energy trines your Scorpio energy. So wherever Cancer is, that is trining your Scorpio energy. And a trine is an aspect of Jupiter, wanting to bring about wisdom, elevation, a sense of cohesion, so an understanding, a sense of knowing. There's this very inspirational energy, and through that sort of wisdom and inner knowing that we have, that's when the abundance and the generosity and the opportunities or luck that can be linked into Jupiter come in. So we have this in aspect form between the solstice and Scorpio. I apologize if you can hear a lot of construction work. I've left my window open because there is a spider web in it, and I didn't want to disturb the home of the spider. So please do bear with me. If you can hear it, you might not even be able to hear it at all. This is an unfortunate thing of where I live that can be very quiet, but also there is a construction site about a stone's throw away from me. So I've just got to crack on. Right, Scorpio. Right, sorry, the solstice. Wherever Cancer is, this is, again, that trine energy. So very free-flowing energy because you're both the same element. So there's a sense of familiarity. You kind of understand what each other's vibe is. You're on the same team. So you're able to share resources. So every year you get a boost of the solstice energy in the Cancer area of your chart, that by trine feeds into... Oh, okay. Feeds into... They're just wanting to stay down there for now. Feeds into your Scorpio space. So lots of big inspiring blueprints. So the solstice chart, which will be up on my community page as well as my Instagram, it's essentially like a natal chart for the next 3 to 6 months. We're going to have another upgrade with the autumn equinox, which we can add on to that heading into the winter solstice. But this is a sort of another layer of the energetic energy that we're working with over the next couple of months. So I've done a collective reading. Go check it out where I break down the astrology a lot more. We've got this boost in this area of Cancer. And for Scorpio rising, this is in your 9th house. The ninth house represents perspectives, morals, ethics, principles that you have, this sense of spirituality linking to religion. It can be your so something that's bigger than you, like this idea of nature or science, whatever it is that you connect to. That's sort of the bigger ideas of how you go about your day in the world, how you map the world out and your place in it. And this is also a place of higher learning in terms of mastering something you've been studying for a while. It's also the house of teaching, as well as going and living somewhere for a chunk of time that is in an environment that's alien to you or not familiar to you. So traditionally it's linked into foreign travel, but really it can be anywhere that you are going into an environment where your perspectives will be changed after spending a fair amount of time there. So this is all about perspectives. Traditionally, this is the house of the gods. So you've got this big blueprint here of coming from the winter solstice, sort of a culmination of everything that you've been doing since then, revitalization. And now with that sort of blueprint, think about what happened in the lead up. So the solstice eve, the longest day, was on the 20th, and then the sun moved into Cancer on the 21st. We would have felt it in the lead up, and we're feeling it afterwards now. To talk about more in the collective reading in terms of the energy lines that happen around the solstices, and they're getting stronger and stronger each year and for longer and longer each year. So we've got this beautiful energetic blueprint of, okay, we've been taking lots of action, we've been doing. Now how are we using what we've learned from all that action taking and bringing it down into the next cycle? So there's more a sense of observation slowly building. We're still taking action because the sun is still taking up most of the time of the 24 hours in the northern hemisphere. But now we're in the state of observation. Now we're in a state of being just taking our time just a little bit more and slowly bringing that down into our day-to-day. So you've got a big boost in how you see yourself in the world. This can bring about a sense of confidence and clarity of what your principles are, what your perspectives are, and what's important to you. Sometimes we can let go of them. We as I talked in the introduction, every day is a school day. It is about having a set of ideals, but then really being very flexible moving forward with all of them. That what is actually serving you, what is actually at the root of that. And so we're now moving into a period where the sun and Mercury are now in Cancer, so we're getting a real vitality in this area of your chart, Scorpio. of bringing in Cancer is also linked into the home and the maternal figures. Is how do we nourish ourselves, how do we nourish those around us, where is our intuition? So we've got this big vital boost of our intuition. Look to where the moon is in your chart as well, because this can add on another layer of what's important to you in terms of the Cancer solstice, which is ruled by the moon. So we've got this big boost of our intuition kicking in, that we're slowly then integrating into ourselves, right? This sense of drawing in the night time of cultivation of inward space. We're drawing this intuition that we may have been witnessing through the actions that we've been taking, just intuitively doing things, that now we're cultivating that intuition over the next part of the cycle. Whatever intentions you set around the winter solstice, how they've culminated now, how are you reevaluating those intentions? How are you growing with it? What's the plan for the next 6 months in general? Like how is this showing up? What came up around the solstice that sort of gave you hints about the future and how how to navigate it? So that's the kind of solstice energy. As I said, there will be... Whoa, what's going on with you, Scorpio? I'm sorry you can't see them. They've decided to put them all along here. I will make sure that they... Oh my goodness. So I haven't talked about the Saturn Jupiter sextile. Check out the collective readings and the introductions if you don't have time for the whole collective reading, because I'll break down in that in more detail. Also, if you haven't watched the Saturn or Jupiter transit series, these are big transits that are happening for us. Saturn and Jupiter are long-term legacy planets. They have a longer cycle than Mercury, the Moon, the Sun, Mars, and Venus. Like they're really helping us, and it's not only the individual, but through these long-term cycles, how is that affecting the collective? Like, you know, your long-term plans will have an impact on those around you. And so this is the first aspect that Saturn and Jupiter have made since the winter solstice in 2020. This is a very creative aspect. This is an aspect of Venus, this sextile. Venus wants to bring in creativity, appreciation, value, love, a harmonizing, a clearing up. And by doing so, you're harmonizing and being more in flow. So after the conjunction that we had winter 2020, which was kind of like a burst of the dynamics of that would be showing up over time, the sextile, you know, they're both yin night signs, Taurus and Pisces, so they've got something in common, and they understand the way in which they work, the way in which they draw in information or take action, that but they're two different elements, so they're working in different ways. But that's where the brainstorming comes in. This is a very creative time thing. You're just a bit more in your flow in terms of what these two planets have in mind and how you work with them for the next year, and this is helping facilitate things coming into fruition later on. So it might be more when Jupiter moves into Gemini, when Jupiter will then square by sign Saturn, that things come more with a bang, because a square is a hard aspect, a sextile is a soft aspect. It may also show up at the time as well. It's all going to be very nuanced. I mean, I know I say this a lot, this is the general energy, but things can still show up that you then work on and have more brainstorms and get more creative, build up a sense of appreciation and value in what it is that you're doing. So Saturn for you, Scorpio, is in a fellow water sign. So we've got the Sun and Mercury up there in Cancer, and we've got Saturn down in Pisces. So if you've got anything in Scorpio, which a lot of you may do for who's tuning in, you're getting a sort of a grand water trine with the Sun and Mercury moving through Cancer, and activating your Scorpio energy and that Saturn energy in Pisces, as well as Neptune. So we've got a lot of water going on for you specifically, Scorpio, because the nodes are there, but of all the signs, you're getting this grand water trine of just a flow of energy between your personal and social and collective emotional inspiration, creativity, intuition, how you work through emotions and what's important to you. So Saturn over in Pisces is in your 5th house of creation energy. This is the house of joy. This is where we find our fun, our amusement, our play, romance, short-term dating, as well as children. All of these things link from our creation energy. Being creative isn't just the arts. It isn't just, say, music or painting. This is doing anything where you're coloring outside of the lines. So it's not do this to equal this. There's an there's an openness to exploration. There's that curiosity, that creativity. There's a sense of playfulness with it. So Saturn moving through your 5th. Again, I've done a transit video for Saturn there, so I'll go into more detail of what that means. Getting some more responsibility and a sense of structure into these things, into that creative energy that gives you the momentum to have a spring in your step, like the as I said, the fun and the amusement. Sextiling Jupiter over in your 7th house. So this is one-to-one intimate relationships. This is business, romantic, friendship. It can be business partners, clients, close friends, more long-term committed relationships. So that can manifest in, as I said, many, many different ways. Because we have this link with the fifth house and the seventh, which is romance and short-term dating with sort of long-term commitment. For some of you, this is instigating a creative way of understanding what kind of relationships that you want. What dynamic do you want to help bring, you're getting some wisdom and understanding of what you want those relationships to be from Jupiter in Taurus. How do you feel in your body about these things? And Saturn, the combination of these two working together is saying, okay, well, what setup are we doing for the long term? How do we then bring in the joy and the sense of creativity, this pleasure principle, to suit your foundations and your long-term integrity and legacy, which is Saturn. So we've got and as I said, we're going to be feeling this. It was exact on the 19th, so something might have shown up on the 19th. However, these are more long-term transits that we've been feeling for a while. We're going to feel essentially until Jupiter leaves Taurus, because by sign they'll still be sextiling, even though orbs with sextiles are quite small. So the degrees in which we say an exact sextile is around is like 3 degrees, but I think that varies. I think like it's all about how you engage with it and what's important to you. For me, by sign is also just as important. So we are going to be feeling this for a while. So I just want to let you know that there's this sense of working with the magic of our collective unconscious space of Pisces, this sense of boundarylessness. With Saturn coming in is helping giving some sense of structure of that melding that you can get with Pisces. And Jupiter moving through the 7th house of this wisdom development, opposite your Scorpio energy, is saying, okay, what's important to you? Where can we get some understanding, some elevation in the way in which you connect from a space of joy, from a space of your creation energy that is serving you long term in your one-to-one relationships? Big, powerful stuff. And all of this, Scorpio, you are, for the rising signs or sun or moon, you are yin, night in nature. And these two planets are in signs that are yin, night in nature. So it's an energy that's familiar, energy that you're working with, that you can tap into it through a state of observation, through meditation, through being still, quietening that mind, allowing your sensitivity to your surroundings, not necessarily making quick judgments about something. I just pulled the King of Swords because I was kind of asking a question of what energy what card would work as advice, and we've got the King of Swords in reverse, so it's seeking and upright. So it's this sense of not in order to get to the King of Swords, which is about clarity, there's a sense of universal truth. I mean, truth is subjective, but as much as we can get close to it, that by being still with this energy, by not making assumptions, by not thinking that you need to have an answer, the way that, this Gemini new moon that we got, which was helping us start and instigate a new cycle of how we engage with information, that so many of us feel like we have to produce an answer, we have to know, we are meaning making machines. That this sextile, this is for all of us, and I should really say it for all of us. I think I have in various ways. This Saturn in Pisces, Jupiter in Taurus, off the bat of an air conjunction. So this was the first conjunction. This is the conjunction in Aquarius that happened on the winter solstice 2020. We're starting a 200-year period of that conjunction happening in air. So air, minds, thoughts, how do we engage with information? And yet their first aspect is happening in a water and earth sign. So this emotional physicality, this very earthly space of how do we connect and feel and emotionally connect to this information, that we're getting a lot of inspiration and creative ideas of being very present in our bodies and our emotions without having to find the meaning in order to get to a sense of clarity. Take your time with it. Give yourself a sense of peace, a sense of stillness, and realize that that space isn't, give yourself the grace to embody that. Okay. I mean, these cards are quite phenomenal off the bat, Scorpio. The energy that wanted to come through was pretty loud. We've got for the solstice energy, Queen of Pentacles in the world. Love this combination. This is about 3D long-term legacy, Pentacles, a sense of abundance, a sense of work, health, routine, your body, the things you do in the physical realm. But with the Queen here, so there's a sense of nourishing that long-term space. The Queen of Pentacles, very good at giving advice. So I feel that there's a sense of cultivating the ability to return that to yourself. Because the reason why I say that is because the World card is all about knowing yourself. Is all about Saturn's card as well. This is about the more that we understand the core root of who we are, the less boundaries we need, the less boundaries we put up, because we're certain of ourselves, we're sure of ourselves, as well as questioning everything all the time. You know, we can hold that paradox. And when we know ourselves truly, the world opens up. The world opens up to us. So this solstice energy is saying, just again, this is highlighting the slowness of it, of all of this. So because the solstice energy is in Cancer, which is a water sign, so there's a sense of taking your time, cultivating this Queen of Pentacles, really bringing in, you may have got hints of the clarity of what this combination is around the solstice, and now's the time of drawing it inwards. Now's the time of, as I said, cultivating, nourishing, and being, there's a sense of slowness with these cards as well, because Saturn is a slow planet, that this integration can take a while to get to, or at least the full embodiment of it. But the solstice energy is saying, you got this, you've totally got this, and it's not out of reach. It's just, you know, as I said at the beginning, we are constantly in a state of evolution. Even when we think we feel like we know ourselves, we're always evolving and growing and reassessing things. And this is an acknowledgement, this time frame is an acknowledgement we are still doing things, but we're also in a state of reassessment, and being at peace with that. So for the energies of this sextile, such very empowering cards, these. I love this coming up for the solstice, especially that trine to your Scorpio energy of taking care and nourishing yourself, like of helping you navigate the Scorpio that can keep going under the stones and keep going. And sometimes there's a sense of just give yourself a pause, give yourself a stop. You don't have to always be doing that. You can feel good in the moment. Right, so we have for the sextile with Jupiter and Saturn. This is kind of building on this energy. I mean, all of it is this time period. This is what's being instilled here, is innate inner confidence. The Seven of Wands is about somebody who has something to offer. They're on the higher ground, if you notice, but they're really unsteady with it. They don't truly know it within themselves. In reverse is this sense of finding clarity and knowing your own value, and by doing so, you're not right. So this is feeling like you've got to fight off the competition. Whenever this card turns up, I'm like, do you need to even engage in it? Just get to a space where you are confident in, spend time bearing witness to, about to say reality as they were picking this card up, which is something, you know, again, subjective, that the universe is going to be sending you lots of signs and clues to help you understand that you are here. I'm just trying to be like, you're on the mountain. you're on the mountain. You're floating. There's a higher perspective here, and I say the reason why it's going to give you clues is because we've got the ace of swords here, and this is a sense of clarity. Again, this renewal of understanding. There's mountains here. Again, that higher perspective of you seeing the reality of this. and helping bring a sense of peace and a sense of calm and a sense of truth of the reality of the situation. Again, all of these things are subjective. I am aware of that, but that doesn't mean that there isn't common denominators that come along and help you see this, which is interesting with the summer solstice energy, because also this is a Taurus card where Jupiter is of, but the solstice energy is in your ninth house of teaching, and the Hierophant is very much about learning and teaching. But it's also, as I said, the Taurus card. And so this is the kind of what's manifesting moving forward. Having a sort of understanding and a clarity and a new way of engaging with his reality as close as you can get it, which is, I guess, is what we can all do. We can only hope but do, without blocking out any other possibilities moving forward. But anyway, so we've got the Hierophant. This is about being your own guru, but sharing that information, sharing your wisdom with others, with the community. With the Ace of Wands. So this is about a reignition. You've got two aces, a big shift and change in passions and drives and creativity, being able to share that creativity, feeling a sense of abundance with that. For those of you, if you're thinking about relationships, this can also represent seeing the value of yourself, and by doing that, not feeling like you've got to show that to other people, right? So this is about not needing to engage in this outside world essence in order to understand who you are. That this is, and the clarity of that, the more you can lean into embodying wisdom in terms of what it is that you want from one-to-one relationships. That the Hierophant is linked into commitment as well. So it's linked into sort of long-term legacy, not long-term, book religions. I mean, that is sort of long-term legacy, isn't it? And the Ace of Wands is very much linked into passion. And we have the fifth house and the seventh house for Scorpio rising. So this is definitely a potential avenue for some of you. But generally, I'm just feeling this innate wisdom within yourself and your creative energy that is giving us, there's structure here. There's a sense of structure that all Saturn wants you to know is your own authority, is your own, without needing to get it from the outside world. And it will often bring things into your life that question that, but this combination, this sextile, this aspect of Venus wanting to help you out, really want you to feel good, of wanting you to feel confident in your own innate wisdom. And again, so seventh house, one-to-one relationships, being able to share your passions and share who you are in one-to-one dynamics, friendship, romantic, business. Very powerful cards for you, Scorpio. Love this. Okay, let's get some qualification cards. Ooh. I don't know why I said qualification instead of clarification. Same thing. So the music card came flying out, but it's making me think that the reason why I said qualification is the ninth house is linked into higher learning. That there's this, for some of you, you might be wanting to instigate learning something new, or coming to the end, coming to a sense of completion with that, and moving into a new dynamic and space based off of everything that you have cultivated and learnt in that area of your chart. I've got the music card. Whenever this comes up, it's about your frequency for me. It could also be about, it's calling you to play some more music, to whether that's putting on the radio, Spotify, whatever it is, or picking up a musical instrument and engaging that. Maybe that might be for some of you of how you engage with Saturn and Jupiter is by spending time just listening to music, and seeing what creative ideas come up, and seeing what moves you, what emotionally, how you emotionally connect to things, and what sort of downloads you get during that time. But as I said, frequency for me is music. And so the more that we get in alignment with a sense of clarity, the more our frequency, I talk about this a lot on the channel, the more that frequency is in alignment, the more we draw towards us the things that our higher self is inherently seeking out. Okay, oh, that flew out. Got the Querent card. So it's wanting to go with the Queen of Pentacles. Great Teacher Awakening, Divine Magic. So it's wanting to, it's gone with the Shadow card, helping transform some shadow energy there for us all. Realize that we are all on our own pilgrimage. I do like it when they do a bit of card magic. You know, I think about our intuition and our frequency and how they're all connected to the energy flow, and how they can get blocked. And the more that we spend time in mindfulness and seeking the inner truth, the more our frequency and our intuition isn't having to fight through lots of blocked energy. You know, it's wanting to go with the central sun, abundance, downloads, regeneration, success. So there's a lot, something's been seeded that is helping you find the truth of your own music. Just had an energetic release. One more card. This is the First Light Tarot. This is a mixture of Major Arcana. Whoa, that's half the deck. We don't want that. Major Arcana, question cards, statement cards, and keyword cards. So, something going on with this deck. Okay, the Tower card wanted to come out. Alarm, storms, electrical impulses, lightning. They always like to focus on the keywords with these cards, that there is something being I think it's definitely linked into what I was just talking about. There's something being pulled down, you know, on the traditional Rider-Waite. You know, if you look at the Tower card, let me get it out. Where are you? On the traditional Rider-Waite, like the Tower is if you look at the top, it's at the top that all the disaster's happening. Where are you? But the foundations are still solid. Like, it's taking away the right at the end with the Star card. How appropriate. Right, so if you look here, it's taking away from the top. The foundations are still strong. Like, it's about shaking down the frequencies, the blocked energies. Sorry, my body's just reacting to that. It's quite hard to talk when that's going on. Rewiring, shaking down we've all got the neural pathways that, they're just hitting my head now. Neural pathways that are formed off of trauma responses, limiting beliefs. I go on about this so much, it often sometimes bores me to tears, saying those words over and over again. The Tower card's great for these kind of things, because it's like, no, we've got your back. We're gonna help bring down some whatever it is for you. Like, it's going to be very, very subjective to, we've all got these things. I mean, I'm personally tapping into my own Scorpio energy because I'm really enjoying this reading, that there are some things that, there's always going to be things that aren't quite unless you've done loads of ayahuasca or breathwork ceremonies or psilocybin or any of these things that sort of fast track the healing process, or any of these plant medicines or any very intense physical things that you can do to help transform. If you're not doing those things, then we've got to do that day by day, mindful, 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 mindful. And I like that the Tower card's coming up and going, because this is kind of saying that there's going to be some kind of event, whether it's conscious or not, whether it's something that happens in your life or whether it's something that happens in your sleep, or by doing certain actions. I don't feel like this is dramatic. I feel like this is just, it's acknowledging that there are some structures that are getting rerouted. And you know, I always pull this down whenever I talk about plant medicine, because this is what our brain looks like when we've taken psilocybin. See all those neural pathways. I am going to dig out and find. So the other version of this is when we're not on psilocybin, is there's very few pathways. Essentially, it helps clear out by having such a burst of things. It's helping break down entrenched neural pathways that we have. So now I'm just clicking around my head. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. This is a very powerful reading. 2 aces, and yeah, lots of. We've got Saturn and we've got Taurus coming up where Jupiter is. So really like the message was very clear with this one. Like, whatever's going on wherever you're at, we're all going to have different layers and different levels of clarity and understanding of the truth of who you are. You are a wonder. You are a phenomenon in this universe. Love yourself, love those around you, and most importantly, be well until we meet again. Libra rising. How you doing, Libra? For those of you just checking into the Libra energy, look to where Libra falls in your chart, the house that it falls in, and the themes of that house, and apply those themes to the messages that come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's as if that Libra energy is now moved to the first house. Just in general, I am pulling cards for the energetic blueprint of the summer solstice over the next 3 to 6 months, as well as the sextile between Saturn and Jupiter, that again we're in the peak of it, but it's a very creative evolutionary energy that we're going to be seeing manifesting over time. So these two things are all very linked into one another, because the sextile was exact on the 19th of June, a day or so before the summer solstice, very much in the summer solstice energy. This is just generally going to be engaging with these two things. But in general, regardless of whether you have a Libra rising or not, the Cancer energy of the summer solstice squares your Libra energy. You are both cardinal energy. You like to instigate things. There's a sense of leadership, of getting things going. You start the new cycles of the earth. Libra, you start the autumn equinox, when we have the balance of day and night, and the solstice. So this is going to be okay. Let's go back to the square. The square is an aspect ruled by Mars. This aspect can bring about conflict, drama, frustration, winning at all costs, because we've got two energies that think they know best, and they are butting heads with one another, and that pressure between the two can mean that no one's going to give, which is where the fights come in, where the conflict comes in, the drama. But the other side of this, right, if any of these stuff has shown up over the solstice, this is only to highlight whether you get triggered by it, what things you actually need to learn in order to expand even more, what lessons are we learning from those situations. On the other side of it is friction with squares, and without friction, this 3D linear time frame construct that we are very presently aware that we're in wouldn't exist without friction, without movement. So this friction of the square tends to bring things into manifestation, into the 3D. So it's very powerful showing up energy. And so every year you're going to have this boost squaring your Libra energy. You also get it with the winter solstice. All the cardinal energies you get, it's very potent in your charts. And so for Libra rising, this is happening every year in your 10th house of life purpose, career, how the outside world sees you, what your reputation is. So this is where Cancer is. So you may have felt a culmination of what you've been trying to work on Okay, just wanting to do some energy work a little bit more. So with the clapping, I'll try not to talk so you can hear me properly. Okay, they're wanting to go with the happy Buddha, which I love. The happy Buddha mentality is very much of the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've got to laugh at the ridiculousness of the human existence. Doesn't mean we don't take things seriously, but at the same time, while taking them seriously, we can be very light on our feet and have a smile on our face. It's a hard thing to put into practice. That may be relevant to some of you. It's interesting that they wanted to bring that in for you guys, Libra. Right, so every year, Libra rising, you have this boost in your career house of the sense of vitality you may have felt around the solstice, a culmination of everything that you've been working on since the winter solstice. I found for me that it was that, as well as giving me little hints of the next part of the cycle. Of being like, okay, you've got this far, keep going, and this is how you're just getting a glimpse of how it might unfold. Not all the details, but certainly an understanding of the energetic shift that's happening. So this marks the change of when the nights are now getting longer. The days are still longer than the nights, but we are in this space of both taking action and being in a state of contemplation, of like revising. We've been doing loads and loads and loads since the winter solstice, and now it's like, okay, what are we learning from this? What are we letting go of, and what are we transforming into the next part of our journey? Whereas we still got curiosity, but also this sense of observation. Of coming together. And so this is an energetic print of what's happening, so as I said in the introduction, it's kind of like a natal chart, but that's from the summer solstice. It's for me, it goes up to the winter solstice, but we also add on the blueprint of what happens on the autumn equinox as well. That this is the full moon. This is the culmination. Now we're drawing it back down, and how are we applying it in the earth? How are we ingraining it into our legacy when we slowly come back down into winter? And so a big boost in your career house. You now got the sun and Mercury moving through there, so you've got some sense of vitality, of vision for what it is that you want. Career, it's not just about career, it is your life purpose. I prefer using that term because that is the sort of that is the thing that is motivating. It's the root and fundamental of what drives you to be in this world. That can be anything. It doesn't have to be linked into employment, or like being getting money for something. It is very, very varied. It can just be a fundamental, a core practice and principle that you have that governs the whole of your chart moving forward. That the 10th house is also often how the big outside world sees you as well. So big vitality here, clarity of understanding with the sun, thinking about this area of your life a lot more as well, because you've got Mercury there. What are you collecting? What are you thinking in the long term? Because this is a part of a long-term cycle, particularly because the aspect between Jupiter and Saturn happened a day before. So this is then going to be, we'll see what sort of energy is going to come up for you, Libra, but squaring your first house. So this is how you embody your sun or your moon in your actions and your deeds, and it might have led to some questioning of how do you want to walk your talk, how do you want to be seen in the world, and how do you want to embody that, as well as are you prioritizing your life purpose, and are you able, as I said, are you embodying that? And if you are, an elevation on that embodiment, seeing things a little clearer about what it is that you want for that legacy, as well as finding the ways, maybe perhaps frictionless things that have made you make choices over the last couple of weeks. may have come up that are helping you really cement and reaffirm what's important to you in the long term. As I said, squares can be conflicting. There can be drama there, but you're forging things in the fire, and often, you know, just helping us be able to understand which parts of ourselves are going to withstand that conflict, aren't going to get knocked off, aren't going to fall down and be defeated. Doesn't mean you have to be engage in a conflicting manner, as in like creating. No, I'm going off on a side piece. I think that's all I needed to say. But you can be calm within the conflict is basically what I'm trying to say. But also heavy, big manifestation energy, that you're getting a big support now at the moment of where are you headed and what are you doing. And I love this because the nodes are about to move into your sign, Libra. Those of you who are regulars, you know it's coming because I've been talking about it a lot. I will be doing a nodal transit video as well, because I think I'm in awe of where we're headed and what we're doing. I really am. Oh, my hands have just gone over my heart chakra. And so you're going to be really refining yourself. And it's going to, like, I like that we've got this solstice just before, so it's going to be the 18th of July. So just before we move into Leo season, that the nodes are going to shift. So we're going to have this nodal shift and change. Oh, hey Libra, how are you doing? This nodal shift and change that is helping you, like, just in the last degrees. I wonder if it's the new moon. 1 second, let me just check that. I should know the dates of things. I don't. My brain doesn't work that way. Not that yet. Anyway, so the day before the nodal shift, we've got a new moon in Cancer. So this fresh new start, oh, that's making me tingling just thinking about it. This fresh new start in terms of your life purpose. And then the nodes are shifting, bam, of like what the power of the nodes, of that first ingress. Love this for you, Libra risings. Love this, love this, love this, love this. If you're not a Libra rising, apply this to whatever area of chart Cancer comes into. So after that new moon in Cancer, of like, hey, where am I headed? What am I doing? Is this what I want? If it's not, here's how I want to change it. And then bam, the South Node's moving into your sign, going, okay, how do we refine ourselves? How do we distill ourselves to get to that new moon space? Woo! Okay, that was fun. Is there anything else I want to say about that? I'm excited for that. I'm excited now to do that Cancer new moon, and I've got the Capricorn new full moon in between. Libra, you've got me excited. Okay, I'm going to move on to Saturn and Jupiter. I might get some more inspiration and come loop back around to the solstice energy. So the cards that are coming up for the solstice are going to be sort of what's been imprinted and how that's going to be cultivated over the next 3 to 6 months. Exciting. So we've got Saturn over in Pisces in your 6th house, and we've got Jupiter over in Taurus in your 8th house. Now Libra, these two houses are, well, regardless of whether it's Libra rising or not, Pisces and Taurus in conjunct Libra. And in conjunct are where they traditionally don't have things in common. So Libra, you are cardinal air and yang day in nature. Pisces is immutable water, yin and night in nature. Taurus is fixed earth, yin and night in nature. So you don't have traditionally things in common with these two signs. So, and the houses that they're in. So this means, wherever those houses are in your chart, this means that there's just a bit of crossed wires, a bit of frustration, a bit of delays in getting things going. Do we want these cards? Okay. There are some delays getting things going, but once you start working with this is when, so it's like, if you're just talking to somebody who you share everything in common with, you're in a feedback loop, you're in a vacuum. Yes, it can feel nice, it can feel easy, it can be free-flowing energy, but it's not helping you change your perspective. It's not helping you think and do critical thinking and question and be curious. The inconjunct is full of curiosities because you're having to essentially put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and that can be incredibly difficult to empathize fully. And this is about bringing these energies together to empathize with your Libra standpoint, and vice versa. So very maverick energy, very unique ideas can come out about with this, but it is acknowledging it can be frustrating, it can be difficult, but there's an element of respect there, that it's like when you're watching somebody do something that they've got a skill that you currently don't have, and they're doing it really well, and you're like, I'm in awe, I respect this, but you don't feel like it's in your wheelhouse. We have everything in our wheelhouse, really. I mean, there are some fundamentals that we are more prone to engaging in, but it doesn't mean that we can't work with this energy. And that's what this inconjunct's all about. So it's actually forming what's called a yod or a yod, pointing at your Libra energy. This Saturn Jupiter sextile. So we've got a sextile between Saturn and Jupiter, and then you're down here, so it's these lines, it's called an inconjunct, and so it's essentially, it's a triangle. And I think it's an isosceles. Oh goodness me, I was never very good at remembering the triangle names, and this can feel intense, but it's really it's a wonderful supportive energy. It's a sextile, an aspect of Venus. You are ruled by Venus. This is creativity, this is love, this is appreciation, this is a harmonizing of things, cleaning up of things. Where do you find your desire? What's important to you? And this supportive energy between Saturn and Jupiter, which are long-term planets, they have a longer cycle. They're the last visible planets in the sky to our naked eye. They represent commitment in a way, wisdom and commitment. That when we're working with these, they're working together in a sextile energy. They want to support you in the long term to how you emotionally connect to things, how do you feel good about things, and helping you bring in the magic as well with Saturn in Pisces, which I love. That it's a supportive energy. It's not a hard energy. Sextiles is a free-flowing energy. There's an ease to it because it's Venus, and so we've got this ease happening over here, and yet it's working in a way that isn't as easily accessible, but through the unusual ways in which to navigate it, you are able to sort of crack open limiting beliefs that are really ingrained, because I just feel like you're breaking out of something. Right, so Saturn in your 6th house. Check out the Saturn transit video, Jupiter transit video, Leo, Venus and Leo transit video. All of these are linked, especially the Venus one, Libra, because you're ruled by Venus. These are all big cycles. So Venus is governing basically Jupiter and Saturn, because Saturn is in Pisces, which is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter's in Taurus, ruled by Venus. Venus is over in Leo for 4 months. So we've got a lot of in the sign of the sun. So really focusing on our heart space. Linked with everything else that's going on. That these are big long-term transits. Venus retrogrades in Leo every 8 years. We're starting a new cycle in this area of our chart. Oh, hello. That these are all big key themes, big key transits for us in the long term. So check them out. If you want more understanding of what Saturn in Pisces means, what Jupiter in Taurus means, and what Venus in Leo means, and then combine it all together and get some magic. So Saturn in Pisces in your 6th house of work, health and routines, getting structures and form and responsibility into how you work, how you look after yourself, and the routines you put in place. Saturn wants to bring integrity, long-term legacy to that area of your chart, even if it might feel a bit difficult when Saturn then leaves. Although I don't get that vibe so much. When Saturn leaves, you really feel like you've completely transformed how you engage with that part of your chart. Jupiter, wisdom, elevation, expansion, a sense of inner wisdom, a sense of knowing. And when we flow with that, more opportunities and a sense of abundance and generosity comes along with Jupiter over in your 8th house of the give and take between you and the outside world. Time, money, things, energy, resources. This can be inheritance, 3D or cosmic inheritance, transformation. Jupiter moving through here is helping you feel a bit more good in the outside world, or asking you to seek the wisdom of what it is that you need in that exchange between you and the outside world. This is also, it's people as well. It's like that dynamic in which your relationships show up. Sometimes we give too much, sometimes we take too much, and these are usually because we are seeking things, we are clawing at things rather than finding the innate wisdom within, that we have all the resources that we need, that we are going to do what we're going to do without necessarily seeking that from the outside world and not seeking out validation. And the more that we work with that, the more then the world just opens up to you as well. And you're just doing you. You are just doing you. And so we've got this very creative energy between work, health and routines and the give and take with the outside world. So this can be finding creative ways of engaging with the relationship that you have with work, and whether you feel like you're supported or not, whether you feel like you're getting what you need. Okay. So they're wanting me to get straight onto the cards. So we've got, for the solstice energy, which is pretty cool, we've got the Nine of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the Justice card. The Justice card is your card. The Ace of Wands, for me, this is internal passion, working out what is important to you internally. It also can represent not feeling that you have this in your life, and by not having it in your life, this sense of vitality, creativity, this fresh new way of engaging with your passions, your confidence, your drive, that by not having that in your life, you're reassessing what's important to you. You're like, wait a minute, where's this gone? Why is this not here? Linked into the 10th house, this is your life purpose. What it may be, feeling depleted, feeling like you don't have that passion in connecting to it, or not being supported in that drive. Okay, so they've got it with the Libra, with the Justice card. This is your card in the Tarot, Libra. This is about things coming into balance, that situations may have come up that have may have felt like a detour, or not satisfying. It's not come to completion, or it hasn't gone the way that you thought it was going to. That this card is showing up and saying what needed to happen in order to get you to this space. Okay. So there's a sense, the reason why I say this, because this is a frustration. This is not feeling like you've got drive or passion or creativity for however that is showing up in your life. That this summer solstice is going, okay, I need you to now think about it and be able to make decisions in order to change that, to get you to this space. I think you've had the Nine of Pentacles a fair amount recently, Libra, which I love, with the node coming into your sign. Love this so much. Nine of Pentacles, independent energy. What are you doing for you and please don't think that you doing things for you is selfish. What are you doing in terms of helping you get to this space of abundance? Like, you don't have to be hanging out with birds in a garden. That's just a figurative way of looking at what is going to nourish your strength, your 3D existence in the long term. And like, this feels like karmic clearings happening. Some contracts are coming to an end. that's been blocking this, and things are coming into balance, and but it is about making decisions. It is about being clear and just and fair in the way that you express yourself, communicate what it is that you need in your life. And when you do that, because you are Libra, there is the social warrior within you, but it's about being able to be that for yourself and the people around you, but most importantly for yourself, like standing up to your own innate desire to make sure that the way that we interact socially is not only allowing everyone to have a space at a table, but being able to be free to interact and be autonomous. This is why I love the nodal transfer into Aries and Libra. I love it so much. I can't wait to talk about it, because we all need to get to this space, Libra. It's not sacrificing the community in any way. In fact, it's supporting it. Letting people know where you stand, by being clear in what it is that you're doing and what it is that you want. And that's being clear with yourself as well. Okay, so we have for the sextile between Jupiter and Saturn. Remember, 6th house, work, health and routines. 8th house, give and take between you and the outside world's resources. 10 of Swords in reverse, 5 of Wands in reverse. Love this. This is saying there's a completion of feeling immobilized. There's a completion of perhaps, this can often be being stabbed in the back, but I feel like this could be the words that you may say to yourself, or limiting beliefs that come from our karma, come from our past lives, come from our ancestors, that are all along the spine, right? So we have a lot of energetic blockages in our spine that causes this feeling of like, I can't even move, I can't do anything, I can't instigate any of the ideas that I have or any of the plans that I have. That in reverse, this is like all of these swords falling out of the spine. There's a sense of release, of then being able to get up and go. Like there's no longer this feeling of immobilization, of blocking how you want to work, so perhaps this is linked into the dynamics between you and the outside world, that you may have felt like this, you're not getting in and therefore it's blocked your work and how you then support your health and your routines. So many things block those things. And we got it with the 5 of Wands in reverse as well. So this is conflict. It's not crazy conflict in terms of like the 5 of Swords, which is definitely a lot more dramatic. This is like movement. There's stuff going on, but you're not getting anywhere. No one's winning. Like, now I'm not saying that somebody should win, but it's not even like a good brainstorming. It's sort of chaos energy of what you're trying to instigate, what you've been trying to achieve there's so much going on. There's been blockages and also potential conflict as well, in those areas of your life that you haven't been able to allow each. Let's say they're all passions and desires that you have, or ways that you want to work, or things that you want to do, right? So health, routine, work, have a healthy relationship with the outside world, that they're all, none of them are being allowed to express themselves in their true form. They're just battling each other, and therefore nothing's getting done. So in reverse, this is saying that this sextile between Saturn and Jupiter is saying, hey, we're going to help you out. And that's doubly highlighted by the fact that we got the King of Pentacles and the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. So the King of Pentacles is earth energy. It's work, it's health, it's all of the things of the 6th house and the 8th house, of you finding the wisdom to be able to take action that helps you, again, get to that space of abundance. Be sure of yourself, you're certain of yourself, you're being there's this you want to achieve this state of abundance, and this creative energy coming through from Saturn and Jupiter saying, hey, we're setting you up to be able to get to this, because we've also got the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. And this is a long-term transit. As I said, we're gonna be in this energy until Jupiter leaves Taurus next year. So we're in it for a while. We're cultivating this energy that's building here. 2 of Pentacles in reverse. You're moving out of survival mode. You're not juggling one idea and another. There's, again, the same with this, is there's movement going on with both of these cards, but it's not getting anywhere. So I always point to the fact that there's ships on really high waves on this, of like, imagine being on that ship, you do things in order to survive, but you're not able to contemplate, you're not able to imagine, get creative, because, well, you would get creative on that in the spot of like trying to survive, but there isn't an ability. It's being in the now, but being in a fear now rather than a survival now rather than a thrive now. So these are in reverse. And which is saying you're no longer in that survival mode, you're no longer juggling, and there's a sense of peace coming in, there's a sense of you knowing the decisions that you need to take in order to take you forward. Right, I am going to pull some clarification cards. All the decks are in the description box if any of them take your fancy. Let's see what wants to come out for Libra. Karmic completion. Something's coming to an end, and you know it. You know it because you can feel this. You can feel this, and it's not suiting you anymore. Okay, what else wants to come through for Libra? That just felt like it was clearing out any difficulties that you may have had navigating whatever's going on here. For some of you, it may be a very personal thing that's just to do with you. Some of you, it could be linked into relationships, as this is the Libra card. It's going to be very specific, obviously, but I've just felt like they were helping clear out whatever may have been blocking an either acceptance and an evolution of a situation or a shift and change in direction. Got the Temperance card. This is the First Light Tarot. Balance, miracles, combinations, environment. So this is a Sagittarius card. If any of you might be, Sagittarius might be relevant to you. Temperance is all about alchemy. It's about figuring out the parts of who you are and refining them and bringing them into balance. But I do like how we've got two balances. We've got the scales are being righted, and there's a sense of equity coming in. Okay, let us do... Nope, they want to do another one. That just flew out. The Tower card. Alarm, storms, electrical impulses, lightning. This is the Mars card. So they're wanting to focus on this. I got this for Scorpio just now, and very much about the Tower card is about pulling down superficial things that don't serve you. This is you still got strong foundations with the Tower card, and it is, as I said, those things that don't. It may seem dramatic at the time, it may seem difficult. This could be in internal structures or outside structures. It's all going to depend on your particular chart of how this shows up for you, but there's a sense of new formations of pathways, of plans, of possibilities coming in after this clearing out of energy. Let's get a final card. Ooh. Individuality. Very much the Nine of Pentacles of you. You know, this theme comes up a lot, and I have apologized to the Libras because I have been a little hard, just because I know what's coming. For all of us, it's not just the Libras. We all have Libra in our chart. That to be able to bring social harmony while still being an individual is what we're going to be trying to be doing over the next over the next 18 months. And that you know, you have been getting cards that represent that journey, and that through that strength of not forgetting to give from your saucer, not from your cup, right? So give from a state of abundance, give from an overflow rather than depletion, because it doesn't get you very far. It gets you so far, and there's honor in that as well, but I just find that it's fundamentally blocking the freedom to be you, without feeling bound in a way that isn't healthy. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, Libra. This is powerful. I'd love to hear from you. If any of it resonated, do not forget to hit the like button. Hello, new viewers. Hi. If any of this resonated, don't forget to subscribe. I do lunations and major transits. So do come and check that out. Love yourself, Libra. Love those around you. And most importantly, be well until we meet again.